Join us as we focus on extraordinary Catholic people, a Catholic life. Zoom in on unique Catholic places, the Catholic experience, and take a snapshot of local Catholic events, Catholic happenings. The Living Bread Radio Network presents Catholic Close-Up, with Michael Roberts. We'll introduce you to people, places, and events that are shaping our Catholic culture today. And now, here's Michael Roberts with today's edition of Catholic Close-Up.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today we'll talk with local author Anita Fox about her brand new book. We'll also talk with Carl Bako from Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Cleveland and their upcoming fundraiser. It all starts right now. Bobby's Journeys with His Best Friend, Jesus. It is a brand new book by a local author. Yeah, you can call her an author now.
I know.
Anita Fox is with us. Anita, welcome into Catholic Close-Up. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
How does it feel to be called an author now?
It's very exciting.
Is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very blessed. I feel so blessed.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're going to find out more about you. We're going to find out more about this brand new book, Bobby's Journeys with His Best Friend, Jesus. What's it about?
The book is about my son, Bobby, who at 13 months old got diagnosed with the terrible childhood cancer. It was called neuroblastoma. And he ended up being a patient of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. So we left our home in Akron, Ohio, and boarded a plane to get there to start treatment down there. Walked miles and miles through that hospital where Bobby often talked about Jesus walked through them halls all the time. And, you got to keep an open mind and an open heart that he was only 2 years old when he started telling me about these journeys. Like I said, he talked about how Jesus walked the halls all the time at St. Jude, and he prayed for the mommies and daddies, and he described heaven to a T. It takes me back to Revelations 21, where he describes the rocks, the colors. He said one day, he told his older brother, his older brother said to him, "Have you seen Jesus lately?" And he said, "Yes, BJ, I've seen Jesus." And he said, "Well, what did he say to you?" And he said, "He didn't say anything to me. He's just love." And he said, "You have to see the colors in heaven." He said, it's so bright and shiny there, and Jesus is love, and he's a big man, and the colors, you have to see the colors in heaven. It's so bright and shiny there. And, if you look in Revelations 21, it describes that. It describes our amethyst and our rubies. And,
right.
For a 2-year-old child to see that and try to describe that, just go to Revelations 21,
So this book talks about the adventures, so to speak, that Bobby had with Jesus, right?
Yes, many, many journeys he had. I'll try to start off with one. There's so many of them
Sure.
that my mind races as I try to think of one.
Right.
There was a particular time when we actually were home. He was in remission, and he come to me and he said, "Mommy," he said, see, I'm getting emotional.
Oh, that's all right. No, it's a beautiful story, and I think that you've been inspired to write this, and you've been inspired to share this story, and your thoughts, I guess, about the process to get to this. Did you envision yourself doing this? Did you envision sharing this story and trying to inspire others with it?
It was about 6 weeks after I lost him. Yes. I laid down and I took all my hurt and wrapped it up in paper and a pencil. And I just started writing down everything that he had told me through his short life.
Yeah.
I mean, I had notes here, I had notes there, because he would tell me things and I would hurry up and write them down or jot them down. And I had them in drawers and cupboards and shoe boxes and under my pillow. But he told me one time, he says, "Mommy, Jesus shut the door on you and you were crying." And I said, well, Bobby, what door did Jesus shut on me? And it just really puzzled me, and I prayed about it because that's all he would say. He wouldn't tell me no more. So I prayed about it, and the next day I was coming out of the laundry room, and again, mind you, he was only about 2.5 years old at the time, and I opened the door, and when I opened the door, he was standing there. After I was done praying, he was standing there, and he looked up at me like he knew what I had just prayed. And I said, Bobby, show Mommy which door that Jesus shut on me. And he said, Mommy, Jesus didn't shut the door on you. He shut the door on me. He said, see, Jesus took me to heaven, and he showed me around, and then he come over to me, and he said, and Mommy, Jesus was crying. And he said, Jesus picked me up and laid me on the big cross. And then he kept crying, and he said, bye, Bobby, I love you. And he shut the door on me. And he said, I flew back through the sky. Jesus sent me back to you because you were crying. And see, during Bobby's sickness, I know now that Jesus did want to take Bobby. But I wasn't faithfully ready to let go. You know, because then he ended up telling me more and more and more of these journeys that he had with him. And I just know that without a doubt that he was going to take him at that time, but he wanted my faith to be better. He wanted my faith to be lifted more. And with all the stories, journeys, and adventures Bobby went on with him, it did lift my faith, because without all those things, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Sure.
I mean, without God, I would not be sitting here talking about all these journeys.
It's beautiful. We're talking with Anita Fox. She is from the Akron area, and she has a new book out. It is called Bobby's Journeys with His Best Friend Jesus, and it is a true story, and it is sure to inspire you. And that's part of my next question, Anita, is what you hope will happen with this. What do you want your readers to take away from this when they read this true story?
I want them to know how real Jesus is. And I know without a doubt, with all my heart, this will help people hurting and realizing how real heaven is and how real Jesus is. And you know, I know it will help the hurting, that especially the ones that have lost children through a sickness, children, you know, they're the parents that are going through the situation where they have a sick child, or anybody. You know, I mean, anybody needs to read this book that is hurting, because it'll touch everyone. And I also know that it not only just people that are dealing with a sick child, but people that have little faith, you know, people that are having a hard time in their marriage. I mean, me and my husband had our ups and downs going through something like that. It's hard on the whole family, you know, or older siblings that's, you know, lost a brother or a sister. I mean, it's just for everyone.
I think sometimes we live in a society where we don't want Jesus to exist, obviously, with what we do with sin and the way society has become. And some days it's crazy. It gets crazier and crazier. And I think it's important for us to sometimes stop and look at things through the lens of faith. And in your particular instance, to actually put things into perspective, to sit down and look at this, and especially through the eyes of faith, and not only help you, but help others as well. Do you think that that is now your calling from God?
Yes, I do.
Why?
My heart was tugged at for so long. It took me 15 years to complete this book.
Oh, wow.
I wrote for probably 6 months after I lost Bobby, and it was so emotional. You know, it's so real and so emotional. One part of it made me feel good, like I was bleeding my soul into it.
Sure.
And then other parts was bringing up bad memories, but there's such good memories in it too, you know. And it's not about the bad memories.
Sure.
But it was for me as a grieving mother. So yes, I know this was definitely my calling.
Yeah.
And it's touched so many people already. I've gotten some really good reviews, and just everybody that's read it, it's just touched a lot of people. It's changed a lot of people's lives already. The people that just even knew Bobby before the book even come out, he changed many, many lives.
Once again, we're talking with Anita Fox. It's a brand new book released, Bobby's Journeys with His Best Friend Jesus. And, you know, Anita, a lot of times when things happen, whether it's illness coming upon a young child or whether it's struggling with a marriage or relationship or whatever the case may be, a lot of times people don't understand why. People don't understand why God allows these things to happen to us. Did those thoughts ever go through your mind?
Yes.
And how did you cope with that?
I have to be honest and say I was never angry at God. I was angry, but I never pinpointed him and said, you know, I'm mad and I'm this and I'm that. I asked the question why. You know, they say we're not supposed to ask why, but we're all in the flesh.
Sure, yeah.
We're all human.
We're only human.
Gonna ask that.
Right.
And, yes, I was very, very, very angry and just, I had a really hard time. How I coped with it is I stayed on my knees a lot. You know, I just prayed a lot.
Yeah.
And when I'd get to my weakest, bam, there he would bring me something else out of Bobby's mouth. That's like the day that, it was in August of 2001, and Bobby had just turned 4 years old. He got diagnosed when he was 13 months. He just turned a little over 4. His birthday was August 23rd, and we were at the Ronald McDonald House in Memphis. And me and him were sitting at a 4-person table, and I was sitting in this chair. He was sitting over there, and he was having a hard time getting around at the time. And he got up from the table, and he was walking real slow. Actually, I was giving him his snacks before I took him up to the room to do his dressing change, what have you. And it was about 9 o'clock at night. Well, he got up from that chair, and he just circled the table real slow. And when he got behind me, I just felt this presence that I can't even describe. It was a warm, beautiful feeling. He sat back down, and he put his little chin on his hand, on the palm of his hand, and he says, "Mommy, you know I have to go be with Jesus pretty soon." And I said, I started tearing up, and I told him, "But Bobby, no." I said, "Because me and Daddy and your brothers and everybody's praying that we get to keep you and watch you become a big man, and you said you want to be a preacher man when you get big." And he stood back up, and he kind of like pushed me away, and he seen the tears I was trying to hold back, and he wiped my tears from my eyes with them precious little fingers. And he said, "Mommy," I told him, I said, "Well, I want to come with you, but if Jesus is taking you, I want to go too." And he said, "Mommy, you can't come right now, but you will in a little while." And you know, that's scripture in the Bible. In a little while, you will come to me.
Sure.
And so that 2 months later, he was gone.
Right.
But he told me he knew he was going.
Yeah.
And he told me he had a lot of work to do. He said, "Me and Jesus have a lot of work to do. And you'll come in a little while." And he just grabbed me and held on to me and hugged me like I was the child and he was the adult.
Yeah.
He was comforting me.
I personally, and I don't want you to think that I'm showing any disrespect, but I can't help but smile, because for me, it's the hope of everlasting life. You know, when you look at it from that perspective, and again, when we talk about faith, I mean, we are people of faith, and to me, it's exciting to know that there are these experiences, that we have hope. We all have hope. Those of us who are here, we all have hope, and it's exciting.
Well, you know, I would never. It's taken me a long time, but the last couple years, and I guess it's been through the last couple years of me to finish the book. You know, I've been working on it hard the last few years.
Sure.
And for me, I would never, ever wish Bobby back to go through what he went through.
Right.
I mean, now I can smile better.
Sure.
And I do have joy.
Sure.
Knowing that I will be with him one day.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he just, you know, I would never wish him back to go through what he went through.
No, it's
He's
a great
where
way.
he wants to be.
Absolutely. He's probably having a blast right now. And we can only hope to get there soon and have a blast with all of them.
Yeah, dancing on the streets of gold.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Once again, we're talking with Anita Fox, a local author, brand new book, Bobby's Journeys with His Best Friend Jesus. It is just released. Anita, we're just about out of time, but I know there's a few last things that you wanted to say to just encourage our listeners to really read the book and be inspired by the book.
Yes. I hope and pray all of you listeners will purchase my book. My true story will definitely build your faith and could be a miraculous healing to many brokenhearted, especially those who have or know someone who has lost a child or has a child battling a sickness. But also, this book is for everyone. It will send chills and ripples up and down your spine as you listen to my son, Bobby, describe the beauty of heaven and his friendship and journeys with Jesus. Please keep an open mind and an open heart, and remember, Bobby started talking about these journeys at just a little over 2 years old and continued through his last breath when he was 4. If you've ever read or seen Heaven is for Real, you will definitely love Bobby's Journeys because it is so much more detailed about heaven and Bobby's many adventures and journeys with Jesus. My heart's exploding to get this book into the world. I promise it will help the brokenhearted.
Anita Fox is our guest here on Catholic Close-Up. Anita, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the inspiration, too. We need more inspiration.
Sorry, I always get emotional.
Hey,
and
I think you're
hard.
allowed, don't you think?
Yes.
I think you're allowed. Thank you, though,
you
so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Hello, this is Bishop George Murray. Join me this Wednesday at 11 a.m. with the Bishop's Corner here on the Living Bread Radio Network. I'll be taking your phone calls and answering your questions about the Catholic faith. I'll also be providing catechetical teaching on a special topic for the day. I look forward to talking to you. That's the Bishop's Corner with me, Bishop George Murray, right here on the Living Bread Radio Network.
You can do some strange things with Alexa.
I can't make intergalactic space calls yet.
We want you to use it to listen to Living Bread Radio. We now have our own Alexa skill, and all you have to say is, Alexa, enable Living Bread Radio.
You're listening to Living Bread Radio.
You know it's her favorite.
Absolutely.
Once you enable Living Bread Radio, you can listen to the live stream 24 hours a day by saying, Alexa, play Living Bread Radio, and you'll be ready for any additional features in the future. Thank you, Alexa.
You're welcome.
Well, it is time for the third annual Derby for Dollars. It benefits Catholic charities of the Diocese of Cleveland. And Carl Bako is with us. He is the Development Director for Catholic Charities. He joins us in studio. Carl, nice to see you. It's been a while.
Thank you, Michael. Good to see you.
Hey, it's fundraising time again. Well, it's always fundraising time, right? But this time around, it is time for the Derby for Dollars. It's the third annual, and I know, Carl, this has become really popular. This is kind of like the happening event of the year.
It is. It's our biggest fundraising event. And, most importantly, all the proceeds benefit our basic needs programs in Summit County. That's emergency financial assistance. We help families with rent and utility assistance. We have 3 hot meals now a week. We had 2, and thanks to a donation from our women's board, we're now doing a 3rd meal every week. Wow. And we, of course, have our food pantry in conjunction with Blessed Trinity. So all the proceeds from this event benefit those programs in Summit County.
So the third annual Derby for Dollars is Friday, May 18th at Portage Country Club, and it's going to feature many people, one of whom is, of course, the shepherd of the Diocese of Cleveland. Bishop Nelson Perez will be there. Now, this will be his...
Well, he will not be there.
Oh, he will not be there.
No,
okay.
But he has graciously agreed, and we are super excited about this. He has graciously agreed to be part of a live auction.
Okay.
And the winning bidder will get dinner for 10, a catered dinner in their home for 10 people, and the bishop has agreed to be there.
Nice.
So we are really excited about that.
That's cool.
We just found out that Moe's Restaurant in Cuyahoga Falls, one of the finest restaurants, I think, in Northeast Ohio is going to cater that dinner party. So we're really looking forward to that, and we are just so grateful to the bishop and his staff for agreeing to this and helping us to raise money that night.
I think my producer, Dan Clark, would like to bid on that and have the bishop over for dinner. Dan, would you invite me? I hope he would. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, whoever wins
Carl, you can come too.
Whoever wins, I plan to at least be out in the driveway.
You're right.
Hanging out. Just,
for a little morsel or a scrap of food.
That's right.
So that is really cool. But also, speaking of food, Father Leo Patalinkhug is going to be there now. Has he been a part of this before in the past?
He was. He was part of our first event in 2016. His website is fatherleofeeds.com. You can check him out there. He travels all over the world doing live cooking demonstrations and preaching about the importance of, dinner with the family and the importance of food in our lives, in our spiritual lives. And he's a really dynamic performer. He's going to do a live cooking demonstration. He's been working with Chef Jonathan Papera at Portage Country Club, and they're working out a great menu for that night. We think it's going to be a really fun event, and Father Leo always puts on a great show.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I would have liked to have seen him. I have missed him the past couple times he's been around, but this could be a great event to go to Friday, May 18th at Portage Country Club. It's the third annual Derby for Dollars. It benefits Catholic charities, and, Carl, Catholic Charities does so much. This is such an exciting event, and I know that, as we just mentioned earlier, it is such a successful fundraiser, and I guess we talk more about the needs of what Catholic Charities does. And so I always like to, talk about the numbers, perhaps last year, the amount of people that you're serving. Again, a lot of people don't realize the amount of people that are impacted by what Catholic Charities does.
Sure. I mean, it's unfortunate that these needs exist, but they do. And in 2016 and 17, we served almost 17,000 meals, served almost 5,000 households through our food pantry, distributed almost $310,000 in rent and utility assistance. So, the needs are out there, and, Catholic Charities is, charged to meet those needs. And, every little bit helps. All the money that we raise for our basic needs programs, it's all money in, money out. All that money goes back to serve people, and that's why this event is so important.
I recently spoke with Rachel Herbelich from the Diocese of Youngstown and their Catholic Charities, because they are in the midst of their annual appeal, and the numbers in the Diocese of Youngstown are the same way. They're staggering. And, one of the things that she mentioned is that, we don't realize this, the amount of poverty, the amount of people that are needed, the amount of people that needs the assistance in our communities. And I think sometimes we turn a blind eye, so to speak, and think, well, that happens in the bigger cities perhaps, but not in Northeast Ohio. But it's simply not the case.
Right. And I know, working for Catholic Charities, I visit our programs, and it's heartbreaking when you see these families who come in for hot meals, and you see the families that come in that need help with our food pantry, and emergency financial assistance. It's just a basic need. I mean, people, they can't afford to have their water shut off. They can't afford to have their electric shut off. So that's what makes events like this and supporting events like this so important, because it really is, it's the mission of Catholic Charities, and it just helps people to live their faith. I mean, it's more than just going to Mass on Sunday. I mean, it's about helping people who need the help.
It's what we're called to do. And along those lines, too, I can't help but think of the winter that we've had. We had a brutal winter, and it's still kind of hanging on. But, as far as heating is concerned, and especially when it comes to young ones, it was a brutal winter.
It was, and it's hanging on for dear life.
Yeah,
I mean, there's rain and snow forecast for the Indians home opener. Yeah. So, that tells you all you need to know.
Exactly. Once again, we're talking with Carl Bako. He is the Development Director for Catholic Charities, the Diocese of Cleveland. It is time for their major fundraiser. It's the third annual Derby for Dollars, Friday, May 18th at Portage Country Club. It's going to feature Father Leo Patalinkhug. Also, Andrew Horansky from WKYC is going to be the MC.
He is. He's going to be our celebrity MC. He's a local guy, St. Ignatius grad. Spoke with him a couple weeks ago. We're really looking forward to having him there. And I also want to mention we have another speaker who's going to do a testimonial for us that night, Sister Ana Gonzalez, a Dominican sister from Columbus. She's originally from El Paso, Texas. I heard her speak a couple years ago at First Friday Club in Akron, and it just so happened that they were transferring her to Columbus. And so we were able to hook up with her earlier this year, and she's going to come speak, and I cannot wait for our audience to hear her. She is so passionate. She visited our program, she interviewed our volunteers, our staff, she went and talked to clients. She is going to be an amazing representative, and for our programs that night. I just can't wait for people to hear her speak. She's incredibly passionate.
Yeah, that's great. Looking forward to that as well. It's the Derby for Dollars happening on Friday, May 18th. Talk about a little bit more, Carl, the specifics of the Derby for Dollars. Obviously, there's a lot of way to win different things, right? So give us some of the specifics about the event itself.
Well, we talked about the auction with the dinner party with the bishop. That's going to end our evening, so that's going to be kind of the big finish for our evening. But we're also going to have a lot of silent auction items. Some great prizes. We're going to do a grand raffle for 3 prizes. We've got a diamond ring that's been donated by Family Treasures Jewelers in Cuyahoga Falls. We've got Susie Anciola, who's a big supporter of ours, is donating some Coach bags as a prize. So we're going to do a derby draw where you pay $25 in and you win a prize of at least $25 in value, probably more. We're going to do a 50-50. We're going to have best dressed and best hat contest because it is kind of in the middle of Triple Crown season. Right. May 18th is our event. May 19th is the Preakness. So all kind of stuff going on that night. It's an event not to be missed. And Portage Country Club is a beautiful venue. And their staff is doing an amazing job working with us as well. Friday, May 18th at Portage Country Club. It's the 3rd annual Derby for Dollars. It benefits Catholic charities, and it obviously goes to a great cause, as we've been talking about. Carl, tickets still available? Yes, absolutely. And how can they get those? Well, they can call me at 330-762-2961, extension 220, or they can go to ccdocle.org/derby4. That's the number 4, and all the information is at the website. Yeah, that's great. Again, you don't want to miss this, folks. The 3rd annual Derby for Dollars, Friday, May 18th at Portage Country Club. It's going to be a great event and truly goes to help a fantastic organization. Okay, Carl, before we let you go, there's something else that we were going to talk about as well. What's that? Yeah, I just wanted to put a plug in for our St. Philip Neri Family Center, which is on East 82nd Street in Cleveland. They are having a Mother's Day brunch and fashion show, and that's on Saturday, April 28th at 11 a.m. at the Slovenian National Home on St. Clair Avenue in Cleveland. People can go to ccdocle.org/events for more entertainment. That is a really fantastic event. They have live entertainment, a fashion show. Eleanor Hayes, formerly from Fox 8, is going to be the MC. It's a really great event that they put on. Always a lot of stuff going on. Yep, absolutely. Have to do it. Carl, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in again. Carl Bako is the Development Director for Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Cleveland. Their Derby for Dollars coming up on Friday, May 18th. You can find out more information online and get your tickets for that great event. You will not want to miss it. Carl, thanks again for coming in. Thank you, Michael. And that's our show for today. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Michael Roberts, and until next time, be at peace. Tune in next week as we continue to take an in-depth look at our Catholic community right here on Catholic Close-Up.
Catholic Close-Up is a production of the Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio. For an audio archive of today's program, visit livingbreadradio.com, where you can subscribe to the weekly podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week for another edition of Catholic Close-Up.